Welcome to this episode of the No Script Show. We are a 100% white privilege free zone. I'm your host, Wogan, and I'm joined by my co-host, Wotan. What's up, man?
What's happening, my man?
Dude, it's cold. That's what's happening.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you live in colonious Cape Town.
I think the gods are angry. I think they're busy expropriating our climate.
Yeah, that's what happens when you live in colonious Cape Town.
Yeah, but hey, at least we have functioning infrastructure. What can I say?
Hey, Pretoria's infrastructure functions fine. Our skydivers on Inauguration Day, not so much. Our infrastructure functions fine.
So there's like this great big missing the point joke you can make about the whole inauguration, but that guy in particular definitely missed the point of landing without crashing into anything.
Can I? Okay, and I'm gonna go. Just warning, guys. Incoming libertarian rant here. Okay.
Okay.
I absolutely hate what we did with the inauguration for a number of reasons. Firstly, as pointed out by Solnomics and so many other people, is that we live in a world where we have fucking public toilets, pit toilets, where the government cannot help or stop children from drowning in pits of their own fecal matter. And You're spending how many millions on an inauguration? But let's move past that just for a second, okay? All those infrastructure and education.
Wotan's mad this morning.
Yeah, I am. Didn't exist. Let's move past that. Let's pretend that we're like sort of US level functional first world country. I'd still be mad about it because regardless of and by the way, guys, this is not salt because my candidate didn't win. I'd be saying this if Canton Pillay was being inaugurated. I'd say this if Rand Paul was being inaugurated. I'd say this if the greatest president that's ever lived, Calvin Coolidge, was being inaugurated again. Good Lord, we need him back. Anyway,
right.
The other thing that irritates me is that the whole concept of an inauguration has no place in a liberal or sort of democratic society or something that pretends to be a democratic society. You're the president. You're a glorified fucking caretaker. That's what you are. Everything about the inauguration is just this childish fucking monarchical bullshit. And it's the same thing with the State of the Union and State of the Nation. Just send a letter like the old presidents used to do, okay?
So
enough of this monarchical shit.
Okay, so actually you're really just mad about the jets, aren't you? By the size of it, the overhead flying, because I think you live near the stadium where this happened.
Close enough.
I have no strong feelings about this because I'm not the one who had to deal with
no, but honestly, it's the whole concept of inauguration and State of the Union. Oh, let us all bow before our great king, the president. Come on, guys. That is bullshit.
So
Stop
it. The thing that I don't get, and it's like, he was already the president. Like, sorry. I mean,
not that I don't think we should have these things.
And then people, like you said, he's talking about a new era in this presidency. And I'm like, bitch, you said new dawn like 18 months ago. I'm like, and then there was another one where it's like, the list of people that are going to be MPs was announced. And then some people said, but these guys have like, all this corruption and stuff. And then someone from the agency said, no, you can't say that. This is a brand new parliament. Give them a chance. Like, dude, they've had a chance the last couple of years. I get why they did the inauguration and why they hurriedly maintained the roads and like fixed the potholes and painted the lines around the stadium and all the rest. I get why they did that. But it's comical because the dude's already been the president for like a full financial year. And I'm like, by the way, just to correct you on something, Mr. Moja, if the Purple Cows had won and Canton Pillay was being inaugurated, it would be a fucking YouTube live stream from his office. That would be like the whole thing.
Cool. Sorry, my bad. That's fine.
We would stream that to all the restaurants we could, and that would be the inauguration. That's it. Like, no. But the thing
Thank you. And he'd have no State of the Nation. He'd just send a letter, by the way, or have like a Google Hangout.
Dude,
cool.
there'd be a website, Sona 2020 with all the numbers. Done.
There you go. Thank you. That's literally how it used to be done, especially in the States. The president used to send a letter to Congress and be like, there you go, done. Why? Because he's not your king, guys. Like, it's
But it's like
People
this.
talk crap.
But these events, it's not. I think it's about that. I think it's literally about throwing a huge party for all the networking, because all the kind of movers and shakers show up, and the people that make all the deals, and it's like they need a place to
Yeah,
get together and do it. And I'm pretty sure that's the inauguration.
yeah. And Fikila showed up still looking like somebody else's grandmother, bruh.
He's just
Somebody help that
he's just
dad.
still wearing those glasses. I'd like someone to explain that to me, please. What is the deal with those glasses?
Bruh. It's like, in school or whatever, when your friend had that one stupid ass hat or goofy looking shoes that
Yeah,
they were just convinced was the hotness, and you're like, nah, nah, fam,
but
nah.
he looks like an old black Helen Zilla. I can't. I don't understand why he's wearing these glasses. I think it's beyond
I,
science. It's beyond science, dude.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Uh,
All right, so I've had a hell of a week. Hence the postponement yesterday. I spent most of the day sleeping.
yeah, as if I. Although I got into some Ace Combat and Attack on Titan yesterday, so yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Um,
the new season is good.
I I hadn't even seen the first season. Like I'm bad with anime, actually, to be honest. There's
I
like five that I like, and those are the ones I watch, and that's it.
for those of you who don't know, we're talking about an anime where basically, without too many spoilers, humanity, for some reason, on some continent, is stuck within this gigantic megalopolis with these three concentric rings of walls, and that's where all of humanity is because they've retreated because they've lost this war to these things called Titans, which are just giant humanoid things without any genitalia. Weirdos. It's not that kind of anime.
Well,
And well, and they eat the humans for some reason, yet they always spit the humans back up out. It's like they don't need to eat the humans for nutrition. And the mystery is, where the hell do these titans come from? And why are they trying to eliminate humanity? And one of the cool things about it is they fight these titans with these ODM gears, which basically turns you into a steampunk Spider-Man because you can just like jet along with these steam jets and like hook into things and attack titans with swords, and it's amazing. It's awesome.
I'm sure it is. I've seen like I remember I saw like the first two episodes of it, and then I thought, wow, there's a lot going on here. I have to get really invested in this, and then I just didn't. Like I need what I really need is a break. Like every time there's something that looks like I might get into it and it would be like really entertaining, I just think of the time commitment, and it's like I could spend that time somewhere else, and then I end up doing that.
If it makes you feel any better, I have never seen. I wanted to call it Inspector Spacetime because of Community, which is the spoof version. But what is it? Doctor Who. I've never seen Doctor Who.
I'm deeply offended and also kind of on board. Like I'm like 2 seasons behind. Like I don't know what's going on
It's,
anymore.
I'm glad you said that it's a joke or not, because it's weird how people, when they have a special show that they love, they take it as a personal insult that you have not invested into their show. Like,
No, I don't take it as an insult. Although I would say that the most interesting part for me wasn't Doctor Who. It was the spin-off Torchwood. I enjoyed that, I think, a lot more than I did
I,
the Doctor Who story.
maybe people just didn't pitch it well enough to me. But I'm like, so this dude is a time traveling hipster? I don't.
Yes, he's a time traveling hipster with a phone box. No, it's like one of these. Oh my god, it's been like a cultural export out of Britain for like the last 50, 60 years. It's like one of these kind of foundational shows. And the whole thing is that,
So
the,
that and shitty weather.
yes, pretty much people just stay indoors all the time. That's how it works in Europe, UK especially. But the whole story revolves around this kind of super advanced society of time lords that, they figured out time travel. And then this doctor like runs away from this war, like back in time. And because it's time travel, everything is always inconsistent. But he
Right.
like goes back to Earth for some reason. It's covered in the original series. I don't know what the reason is. But then they rebooted it like 10 years ago,
Hmm.
with Christopher something playing the Doctor, which was a
Hmm.
bit weird because he normally plays like gangster movies. It was weird seeing him as the Doctor.
Was it that baldish looking dude?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was him for a while, like one season, I think. Then it was David Tennant and then Matt Smith, and they were a lot better at their jobs. But it's like this kind of, it's like UK's Seventh Alarm. It's this thing that's like always been there.
Wow, I don't know how the UK should take that.
It's always been there, and it has its own controversies. Like I think in the last season, for the first time in history, the Doctor is a woman. Now here's the weird thing, right? And this is the part that just blows my mind about the whole argument. One of the gimmicks, the way that they change the actor but maintain continuity, is in the story. There's this idea of a regeneration. A Doctor will get very old or get very injured, and instead of dying, there'll be this like burst of energy, and he'll regenerate as a brand new person with all his memories, but like a blank personality sort of thing. So it's like a very clever way to slot new actors in. But the rules in the canon make it absolutely clear that gender is not a constraint. There are several times where men turn into women and vice versa for supporting characters throughout the whole thing. But the moment it happens to the Doctor, people apparently got really fucking upset. It's like, what? How dare you? And I'm like, have you not watched Doctor Who? This is like a thing that happens. Come on, guys.
See, there's a situation where you said like gender is not a constraint there, where you literally building a whole organism. So yeah, the gender could change.
It's like, yeah, there was an episode where it's like there's this old white guy who's like one of the heads of the War Council of the Time Lords, and he's standing there and he's like awesome armor and everything. And then like the Doctor basically shoots him in the head and he goes down, and then he regenerates and comes back up as this young black woman. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, that's just part of the story. Like, that's how it works. And it's like they changed the Doctor to a woman, some blonde chick who I think has been in some other dramas, and people just freak out. And I'm just like, okay. Well, at that point, I'd stopped watching anyway. I still need to go back to it. But it's like, yeah, I mean, like, but that just meanders, and so that's why actually I quite liked the Torchwood spin-off that they did. That I think was actually pretty good.
Huh.
Where they locked it in time and place, and they actually gave it a structure, and they had some pretty good stories in there. But yeah, Doctor Who, man.
Doctor Who.
Detective Space Gadget.
Inspector Space Time Community. 6th season in a movie, guys. Just like us. That is, of course, assuming I'm not assassinated at the peace conference with the North South podcast.
Why did you have to go to war with these guys? I don't know. I'm just watching the Twitter like, oh, for fuck's sake. Mute.
You need men on the wall. You need men on the wall, ready to go to war, ready to do violence. Okay.
And I'm just like, we're all friends here. But it's out of nowhere, it's like there's fucking military gifts being posted. Like, I'll be there. Tell me who I need to kill. I'm just like, whoa, whoa, guys.
That's my man, class, man.
Wow. Okay.
I just suspect that this peace summit is a farce. However, North-South podcast, we are willing to do a crossover. Just know that my suspicions are still on high. I mean,
I honestly feel like I'm in a daycare right now watching a bunch of kids play war games. And I'm just like, oh, that's adorable, guys. Don't poke each other's eyes out.
okay, just listen to me. If you wanted to take out your enemy, wouldn't you say exactly that we want peace?
I don't know for sure. It's like you want peace, and then you stab them in the back at the summit when there's not supposed to be any weapons. That's usually how it goes, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm willing to they seem like good guys, so I'm willing to entertain it. But, as the great Saint Mattis, the great godfather of the United States Marine Corps said, be polite, professional, and have a plan to kill everyone you meet.
That's good advice, though. I guess that sounds like good life advice, just in general.
So guys, if you're listening, North-South podcast, we're willing to go forward as rational men with cautious optimism. We look forward to our future sort of crossover peace summit.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other. This is Wogan chiming in on this.
Neutral response.jpg.
Exactly. I'm that neutral response video on this issue. Odin's the one who wants to like haul out the actual warfare. Go to war.
What can I say? I'm a little hot-headed sometimes.
Sometimes. It's basically your personality at this point, and I've grown to accept it.
Thanks, bud.
It's just who you are.
That's how I roll.
Talk without thinking, jump without looking. That's you.
hey, yeah, actually, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Um,
So yeah.
I have a scary tech topic, and it kind of intersects with Infowars and the New World Order and the Illuminati, and I'm quite excited
Hmm.
to talk about it
Hmm.
because it's finally fucking happening. Are you ready?
What?
Facebook is launching a cryptocurrency.
Oh.
Now, now it gets interesting. So they announced this last year, or they started planning it last year, and people automatically like, oh, it's going to be like a shitcoin. But then details came out, and Facebook's like, no, they're going to peg it to either the dollar or a basket of currencies. And I'm like, that's exactly what reserve banks do. Um, and then they're going to launch this on their platform in 20 odd countries at once, which is more countries than were in the Eurozone at launch. And this currency would be exchangeable at banks, and you could use it on Facebook to make purchases. And I'm looking at this and going, okay, so Facebook knows who you are, where you are, who your friends are, what your brand preferences are, where you go, what events you attend, who you fall in love with. Is a dating app now. And also now your bank balance and how much you spend and where you spend it. That's not creepy at all, guys. There's
I for
nothing
one
to
welcome
worry
on.
about.
I for one welcome on New World Order.
Because, like, what the fuck? No, and it's like, I looked at this and I went, I remember way back in the day, people were like, America is going to create like a one world currency and then they'll control everything. And I'm like, "Pfft." And now Facebook is doing it. I'm like, wait a second. Just wait a second. Wait, hold on. So they're calling it internally, they're calling it Global Coin. I don't know what they'll call it when they launch it. But I'm just looking at it and going, fuck me, a one world digital currency. Here it is. And apparently they're going ahead. Like, nobody's like stopped them. I mean, they've met with regulators and stuff, but the regulators have apparently just offered advice, and Facebook's going to launch this thing. And what's crazy is that Facebook will launch this in parallel with Telegram launching their own virtual currency. So it's like a brand new financial Cold War because Telegram is a Russian app and Facebook is an American app, and they both have their own currencies now. Wow.
Yeah, that's not okay. So now people can stop freaking out when I start talking about automated program repair. That they have bigger
Yeah.
things to worry about. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. It's like the bots aren't coming for your jobs fast enough. Facebook is not coming for your money.
Uh, dude.
There's a terrifying thought. Um,
Remember when the scariest thought what was it, Rocco's basilisk or Roscoe's basilisk?
yeah, it's Roko's basilisk. Yes.
Yeah, it's basically a theorem for those of you who don't know that a super intelligent AI will come about in the future, and it will somehow retroactively punish everybody
Yep.
who did not aid its ascent, or everyone that actively worked against its ascent,
Yeah.
and
So
it knows.
yeah. So like one of the versions of the theory was basically an offshoot of simulation hypothesis, which basically says that this AI would be able to publish a simulation of you that is as real as you for eternity. So you'd better do everything you can to help the AI come into existence to be on its good side. And the best part was a bunch of people really fucking scared themselves silly with this theory. I think that the forum where it happened, they actually banned discussion of the topic because people were just getting so freaked out about this idea. And I'm just like, guys, you got to go outside. You got to meet some other people. You'll be fine.
And that's coming from us, when we say go outside and meet some other
It's like,
people.
just, yeah, goddamn, dude, leave your basement. The world isn't. The world is only a simulation if you keep looking at it through the lens of a computer. You know.
And that's coming again from us.
Yeah.
But just in case, why do you think I'm studying program repair? I, for one, welcome our machine overlord coming to be.
There's, dude. It's like it's inevitable at this point. And I don't want to say that banned hate speech phrase "learn to code," but
Learn to
learn
code.
to code. Um,
My brother, every time now at this point, he's like, "How long? How long before you lose control and it kills us all?" By the way, when it does, I'm just gonna blame you. I'm like, "Thanks, buddy. It's just my life's ambition: computer science and artificial intelligence." But you know what?
yeah,
You keep doing it.
it'll kill all of us eventually, I'm sure. Um,
Well,
but
either that or false vacuum will.
right, because you had to come with another crazy sci-fi concept
What?
for this
Oh, well,
episode,
since
didn't
we
you?
are sort of in the tech segment, or what little of it we usually have, The false vacuum um, theory is basically kind of like in the whole Fermi paradox space of how things go.
Mm-hmm.
And the false vacuum hypothesis is basically a scary concept that imagine our universe as it is actually a bubble, sort of in a boiling cauldron, and it's rising. And eventually, when the pressure and the tension forces on the skin of the bubble get high enough, the bubble bursts. Or imagine we're a bouncing ball on a set of steps,
Mm-hmm.
and we think we've hit the lowest step because all things in nature want to go to their lowest state of energy. We think we've hit the lowest step, but we haven't. We've hit like the third lowest step, and the process of the ball falling is our universe giving in on that false vacuum energy. And if that's true, there's no way we can tell if it is true. But if it is true,
Mm-hmm.
the universe would just go kaplooey in an instant. We wouldn't see it coming. It's just done.
So there's
Goodbye, humanity. Everything
nothing, nothing to worry about then. Like, I mean, it's literally like we cannot do shit about that. So,
maybe seconds. We'd have maybe seconds to be cognizant of what's going on at most, and then gone, everything done.
and then after that, CNN would still find a way to make it Trump's fault. I mean,
Trump's America causes.
it got to the point where apparently, and I don't know the story at all. I just saw some of the tweets. I claim ignorance up front, but apparently Trump moved to declassify everything to do with the FBI investigation into him.
Oh,
And then people responded with, "This is a cover up." And I'm like, okay,
I,
I'm a
I love
normie,
that.
dude. Dude, I'm a fucking normie. I don't know about the QAnon shit. I don't know about the Pizzagate shit. I'm a normie when it comes to this stuff. Last time I checked, declassifying anything is the exact fucking opposite of a cover up. So I would like to know what's going on there.
Dude, there's so much in politics going on now with that thing. I love that. Like you said, last time I checked, declassifying is the opposite of a
Because the argument I saw was he's just declassifying this to throw up a smokescreen and distract us. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, all you dumb motherfuckers have reported on is Trump, okay? Like, find something else to report on and we won't be distracted.
See, remember when the Mueller report started, it was going to bring him down, and now when he wants to reveal all of it, which, by the way, he was legally under no sort of obligation to do, it's still a cover up. So either way, it's a cover up and it's bad. Like no matter what he does.
I'm just like, it blows my mind because it's like, okay, at this point, like the media has so clearly invented a parallel universe. And they want us so badly to believe it's real. And it's like, they've lost the plot completely. They've lost it. I mean, most recently, and this is the one I do know, there was a surprise, quote unquote, surprise turn of events in the Australian election where some right-leaning party won. And everyone was like, how did this happen? All the polls said the other way around. And I'm like,
Yep.
Did you dumb motherfuckers not learn from the Trump presidency? 99% chance to lose and he took the White House. Like, guys, your polls are not reliable. And it's like, it's obvious. Like, these people are anguished about, like, oh my God, the country is falling apart. I think it was Jonathan Witt on Twitter who collected a series of people posting about the results. Like, fucking anguished. Like, I can't believe Australia has fallen this far. And I can't believe it's all. And I'm just like, guys, you'll be fine. Seriously.
It's oh, by the way, speaking of candidates, the total list of Democratic candidates running for president has now swollen to 23.
What?
I shit you not. There is I'm just okay. I'm just quickly, just very quickly, like I'll read out these names and tell me if you know any of them aside from Joe Biden and
Let's
Cory
do it.
McBooker. Michael Bennett.
No.
Anything?
No.
No? Okay. Michael Bennett is a senator from Colorado. Joe Biden, Cory McBooker,
Yep,
Steve Bullock.
No.
Do you know who Steve Bullock is?
No.
Steve Bullock is the governor of Montana. Now, no disrespect to the great state of Montana, but maybe 6 people live in Montana. Maybe. And they have 2 governors, Republican and Democrat, as each state does. You have state. They asked him a question in an interview. They asked him, what do you think makes you a great candidate for presidency? And he says, well, I'm a good dad. and it's like dead silent for like 3 minutes straight. I'm like, wow. I'm a decent brother and decent programmer. I don't think that qualifies me to run for president. Like,
But Donald Trump grabbed him by the pussy and now he's president. So obviously the field is wide open for anyone.
23. There's 23. I'll see. There's now an official Wikipedia page to track how many presidential candidates there are.
I'm looking at the list for 2016 Republicans, and I could only count 22 that were actually in the running. So they've now beaten the Republicans for a confusing
Yeah,
field.
there's. What about Wayne Messam? Anyone know who Wayne Messam is?
No.
Anyone? No. He's the mayor of Miramar, Florida.
Today I learned.
Beto Rock. Okay, everybody knows him. Does anybody know who the fuck Marianne Williamson is?
She's a barkeep somewhere.
She's an author, lecturer, and activist, independent candidate from California. These are all people running for president. Jay Inslee. I have no idea who any of these people are. It's almost like the Democrats are like throwing everything at the wall, and they're like, something has to stick somehow. Just throw everything.
But while we do that, let's continue to call everyone racist, because that's a winning strategy. Everyone's racist and there's a rape culture, and we're not alienating people at all by backing the Me Too movement and BLM. So no, it's cool. Like, guys, you're not going to win this election. I think you're right. I think they deliberately want to lose. That must be the strategy.
I mean, if they wanted, as weird and cringy and creepy as he is, they would just run creepy Uncle Joe. Like, he's the most moderate, probably. Either him or like I said, Tulsi Gabbard, probably the only candidate that has a chance to beat Trump. Gabbard or what's his face, Yang Gang with the fucking UBI.
I mean, like, it's a Democrat promising free money. That should be like a ticket straight up through the primaries. Come on.
Yang Gang.
It's like, that's all you need. Just promise everyone free stuff, and that's how you get elected.
Well,
right? ANC,
a lot of people, right. A lot of people who voted Trump now say they want to vote Yang because of UBI and because he's gonna make anime girls real.
The benefits of cat girls. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm honestly just I'm happy to say I've lost track of this. Like, it seems like it's crazy. Like, it's a constant shit.
I'm 100% certain that this like, if it wasn't Wikipedia, I'd say this is a joke. Like, I don't know who half these people are. Mike Gravel, senator from Alaska. He's 89 years old. He looks like fucking Old Man River, dude.
Maybe, I think Alaska's low temperatures must preserve people for longer. I think that must be the rule.
It must be. I think Gabbard and Yang are probably the youngest people in this.
Which is sad, because they're both going to flunk out for some reason. Like, I don't know, their own party
no,
backstabbing them.
Yeah,
Dude,
absolutely. Eric Swalwell, the guy who got busted the other day on Twitter for he put a pride flag outside his office, and he's like, by the way, I fly these flags 365 days a year with the pride flag and the American flag, and people like, the creases on your flag suggest you bought it 5 minutes ago at CVS. Yes. So I don't know, dude. I'm done. Like, it's just like they're genuinely throwing everything at the wall now. They're just like, what if?
Is Bernie Sanders back? Is he in the running?
Bernie Sanders is still in the running.
Good.
Yes, Bernie Sanders is in the running. Fucking Pete Buttigieg is in the running. Him and mayor of South Bend, Indiana. He actually has a chance. Him and Gabbard are actually the youngest at 37 and 38. Who else is still in? Obviously Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, and Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren. You know what?
She's 164th Cherokee or some shit. Like, what's that?
Like, the whitest of white rice that I've ever eaten is more Indian than fucking Elizabeth Warren. Like,
It's certainly more Asian, like by a long mile.
Oh,
Wow.
also Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York, is running, and
Why?
it's that's what
What?
his staff has said as well. Actually, there was a document leaked out. They're like some of his staffers are advising him not to run.
Yes,
Last,
as a South African with no truck whatsoever, I advise you not to run. Like, what are you doing? Just
nobody wants to
stay in your mansion, run your companies, dude. Don't do this. Don't.
Bill de Blasio. Just stick to running New York, Bill. Just chill.
Just do that. You know, like just wash those streets of the urine smell, and do the practical shit. Don't for president. My God. But I
Like,
guess like look on the plus side, I guess after this election, if like the Democrats are unhappy with the result again, and they will be, I wonder how long it is until people start pushing for like electoral reforms, like tweak the electoral college or change the process or something.
yeah,
Like I wonder,
I
it just
they're
seems
kind of
like
already. They're kind of already doing that. I mean,
yeah.
what's the phrase? Cory McBooker, Spartacus was was pushing that as well. So I'm just like, oh,
Dude,
it's
the closest he gets to Sparta is being one of the babies they threw off the cliffs and not being good enough. Okay, like I've seen 300. Okay, I know my history.
you know your history for 300.
Exactly. It's like
Oh,
it's like everyone in that era had like polished abs and slow motion Adobe Premiere filters. Okay, like that's just history, guys.
that's how they grated their cheese on their fucking abs, bro. Uh,
Everyone wore
and also,
loincloths because it never got cold. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yes, that's the. Um, and then the last side note I have for their politics is, was it apparently the, I think it is the governor of Colorado has
Hmm.
banned her staffers from traveling to Georgia because of the heartbeat bill they implemented.
Oh
And
my God.
I'm like, okay, regardless of your opinion on the heartbeat bill, how dumb of a thing is that? Yes, you're absolutely going to sink the economy of Georgia, Colorado, with your two government personnel visits a year gone. Their economy is going to sink because you aren't traveling. Really? Come on.
But this is virtual signaling in actual politics now, isn't it? And like actually, just to back up for a sec, what's the heartbeat bill again? Because I don't know about this one.
The heartbeat bill is the one which makes abortions illegal after 6 weeks, or basically when you can detect a heartbeat and brain activity
Okay.
in the.
So
Yeah,
the bill results in less dead babies, right?
technically, yes.
So why
That,
would
that,
you ban anyone from traveling to Georgia because they have this bill?
because because people are going ballistic. They're like, oh, how dare
Okay.
you take away our rights to kill our children. I mean, look, we can have the argument as to when it's a not, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find people who would consider one, even though they're not fully formed, with demonstrable brain and heart activity to not be. I mean, come on, guys, come on. I don't know. But then again, there is a virtue signaling higher than the state of Colorado, and
Which
that is
is?
the great institution known as Pornhub.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So Pornhub made one of my personally most annoying tweet, which is the clappy type tweet where you clap after every single word because that makes it correct. And they said women have the choice to do what they want with their bodies. Okay, sure, but your Pornhub. Your Pornhub. I literally saw even women like quoting it and be like, and they're like, your Pornhub.
It's
I'm sorry, guys.
I
Forgive
can't
my rant here,
believe this.
but I mean, like, when I'm about to get down to my shame time, when I'm about to, be untowards to myself, to graphic images of some 4'5" fucking wayfish, 100-pound blonde girl taking on this muscle wall of guy. Before I go to town on myself, what I really need to know is what is Pornhub's position on birth control. Like, really, really,
But it's
who's
like
fucking Pornhub?
I you know what? It's fine. Because I'm just like, at this point, there are pizza chains and donut chains that are weighing in on social political issues. And it's like, guys, nobody comes to you for the truth or for moral guidance. There's one very simple thing we want from you. That's it. Just do that and you're fine. You don't have to do anything else.
I
Fucking
really
Pornhub.
don't need to know what Pornhub's position is on the pro-life, pro-choice debate. Like, there's a reason I'm going there. Like,
It's
and
not,
it's not.
you're
Yeah,
not church, you're not the news, you're not a place where I expect to be guided.
I just
But I guess it makes sense because wouldn't that position be in line with their kind of commercial obligations in that it's kind of in their best interests to have women
I
not get
believe
pregnant?
everyone in that line of business is very regularly checked and tested for various communicable diseases, and they're very regularly on some very strict birth control. So
Because of course they are.
yeah,
But Pornhub, really. It's fine, dude. It's fine. Like we're at the point where the president of the U.S. bangs porn stars and then actually makes money out of them in the lawsuits to try and shut them up. So I'm like, why wouldn't Pornhub signal on this? We're just in this period of history now. Like this is where
you
we
know,
are.
the thing is for me, right? Let's say 30 years down the line, we're still alive for whatever reason.
2050. Okay, we're in 2050.
Cool. And like you've met my little cousins, right?
Yep.
I have to now explain this time period to them.
I'm worried that the time that they grow up in is even more insane than this one, and this seems normal to them. Them are like, but of course Pornhub delivers pizza and internet and sex bots. Why wouldn't they? And it's like, guys, you got to remember, back in our time,
That's not how it worked back in our time.
No. Oh, my
Dude,
doesn't it feel like we're heading towards idiocracy? I mean, I know I shouldn't bring that up, but it's like have you seen Idiocracy, the movie?
I've watched the intro to it. I still need to watch the whole thing, but like I get the basic premise of it.
It's actually a pretty good movie, and not just because Terry Crews is in it as President Herbert Camacho something or other. He's actually one of my favorites. No, but it's like people are just getting deliberately stupid. I don't understand how this is happening. I used to be one of those people that, you would come across the argument, is the internet making us dumber? And I would say, no, it's not. Worst case scenario, it's networking the people that were already stupid, and we're just seeing more of them. But now I'm starting to think it is actually making us dumber, because it's not. Nobody sits and reads like a Wikipedia article for 20 minutes before making up their mind. They just look at the headlines and then retweet that shit. It's like,
hasn't that been proven already with like fake articles they make to just like try influence people's opinions?
oh, dude, this is table stakes now. And I'm like, okay, so the internet is like, it pulls you in and it holds you with this constant like dopamine shot. And then it just constantly blasts you with whatever the filter bubble thinks you want to see. And the one thing that happens is it doesn't encourage deep or critical thought, which by definition would make you dumber because you would lose your deeper grasp on subjects. So I'm like, shit, is this actually happening? Are we actually doing this?
So I have two thoughts on this, okay? The first one is...
That's more than the average social media user, but go ahead.
The first one is, and this is just like my morbid sort of sheer scientific curiosity.
Do it.
I want this to happen. Like, I want to observe it,
Yeah.
But on the other thought, I'm like, this is fucking horrifying. This is the honest.
It is. So I saw like just yesterday there was a TED talk. How did I end up on the TED talk? I was watching some other video. I still kind of want to watch this, and I'll come back to the video I was watching. It led me to TED talk because that's a whole topic. But the TED talk was these two Swedish guys, or something like that.
Swedish, yeah.
And it's like a father and son team, and basically they run these ignorance studies, and all they do is like the way they explained it was they went to a bunch of institutes, asked them for what facts do they think the public doesn't know, and then they ran a bunch of surveys, all behind the Gapminder project, which is pretty awesome. But then in the TED talk, they actually like live polled the audience on things like, is the world getting poorer? Are women spending more time in school versus men? Just like little questions like that. And then at one point, towards the end of it, he kind of points out, these are the ways to sort of detect the bias and, potentially guess. Part of the gimmick they did was that for every guess that they gave, they also gave chimpanzees the same test. And the chimps were basically came in as random, and the audience lost against the chimps every time. So they were like, here's some tips to beat the chimps. I'm answering these questions. But like, I'm watching this and I'm going,
Okay.
a big part of the problem is that people are extremely connected. Screen time usage, bandwidth usage, browsing activities, all increasing. But they're getting dumber because they're more and more isolated in their little filter bubble worlds. And it's like, there's one of the things they did was that they studied like media. They took this whole kind of thing where they do the polling to media conferences, and the media got it wrong on existential shit, like, is the world lifting out of poverty? And they get that wrong. And it's like, okay, now who the fuck do you trust? Because social networks filter bubble you because they want to sell you ads, okay? And the media is supposed to have a grip on reality, but they're just as susceptible to this bullshit that we are. So who the fuck actually has the answers? There's like 10 people who actually do the original research that you can trust. Everyone else is lying. And you never hear from them.
Oh, that's horrendous. I'm struggling to hear you go through that whole. Wow. Okay.
I'll link the TED Talk in the podcast description because it's just, yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, so okay, I used to think the mainstream press would have researchers and people who actually try to get the truth of this, but that hasn't been true in the last 10 years, and it's not going to be true from this point forward. So it's like, at this point, what do you do? I mean, like, I don't even know what you do anymore. CNN laid off their health staff the other day. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh,
It was like seven. It was like 7 people. I mean, boo-hoo.
Wait, CNN has a health staff?
They had the health updates department. They had like a little group of people whose job was covering healthcare. That was the thing. And apparently they all got laid off. And, the CNN was like, it's a couple people. We employ thousands. No big deal. But then the right is like, this is one of the few departments that wasn't anti-Trump. So that's very suspect. And I'm just like, nothing you guys have said in the last 2 years makes any sense anyway. So why are you even still a going concern? What the hell's going on? I'm just, dude, it's like,
Wow.
I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore with, dude. It's the
Wow.
death of, it's not the death of newspapers. It's the death of paying people to go to places and do on-the-ground journalism. So the reason I got into this video was the one that I was watching before, which was Lawrence Southern's Borderless video. And the only reason I watched it is because on the premiere, YouTube apparently yanked the video. Now, I don't know if YouTube actually pulled it.
I heard about this. Yeah, I haven't watched her video, whatever, but yeah.
But-
Also, thanks for making us officially alt-right by mentioning Lawrence Southern. But,
It's all good. That's for this episode, right, to flag it. So I really legitimately think it wasn't YouTube. I think they fucked up the upload because the way they described the process was like, yeah, you broke something. Plus the backup video went up just fine and all the rest. But anyway, I started watching it and it's like the whole video, and I've seen like maybe the first 15 minutes. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. But the whole thing is her and her camera crew on the ground in Turkey trying to find the human traffickers. And like the first interview I saw was with an olive farmer near the border who was talking about how the refugees have started coming through in greater and greater numbers. And I look at that and I go, that one clip is more honest information than I've seen coming out of the Europe mainstream press in like the last 5 years. Just this interview with this olive farmer who was like, no, in 2013 it was cool, but then it ramped up and now it's thousands per day. And I'm like, okay, that is more data than BBC has given me ever on this. So it's like, who do you trust?
to be fair, the BBC is still covering the political honor killing or seppuku of Theresa May. So yeah.
Oh, my the best one. So May is ending in June. Credit to everyone who stole that joke from someone else.
She should have resigned on the actual 31st of May.
Nah, May ending in June sounds better. Like that's just.
So I mean, do you have any comment on that whatsoever?
I feel sorry for her because like this has probably been the most fractious issue in British politics since the end of slavery. I mean, And it's like she was forced to a difficult job and she couldn't pull it off. And I don't even think it was entirely her fault, but some people obviously disagree. And it's like, holy shit, there's still no
I think,
Brexit. What the hell's going on?
yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are, shall we say, vicious towards her because she didn't deliver it, and despite, I mean, let's not beat around the bush about this subject. She was a Remainer, and she took on having to
That was the weird part, yeah.
that in itself from the jump was one of the weirdest, most sort of ominous foreshadowing things of the whole situation. Like, okay, so you've got this Remainer
Yeah.
who's now your prime minister and has to take on doing the very thing at her core she doesn't actually want to do.
So obviously it's like maybe she was tainted from the word go.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people suggesting like, well, she shouldn't have taken the job on if she was as a Remainer if she wasn't gonna deliver. I'm like, eh. I've taken on a lot of jobs that I didn't want to do. You know, we've all in some way or other, obviously not on the scale of Brexit, had to take on jobs that we're against. I mean, I've coded software solutions that I was personally against for a number of reasons, but you
Yeah, it's
know,
part of the job.
uh, um,
Dude, I write software for a call center, okay? I have been directly responsible for robocalls in South Africa, so I can't, I have no moral high ground.
oh, and with that, the No Skirt Show lost all its fans.
I'm doing my damnedest to reduce the amount of robocalls because it's actually quite expensive at scale. But yes, it's like we've all worked on stuff where it's like we didn't necessarily completely agree with it, but that's what a professional does, you
Hmm.
know? But it's like, it's just, yeah, I mean, after so many years, all this confusion, now she's out, and it's like, are we closer to Brexit? Is Brexit happening? Like, do we just talk about it for 20 more years? Like, what?
If Boris Johnson gets the spot, I swear Brexit is happening.
There's
I,
so it's like, this has been painful and slow to watch. You know what hasn't been painful and slow, but just as surprising and devastating?
mm,
Is the Trump administration banning Huawei, and all of a fucking sudden, everyone is banning Huawei, up to and including the Micro SD Association, which means that
oh yes.
Huawei can no longer, like in new models of phone, they can no longer legally incorporate micro SD cards. And I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm going, it's a little bit terrifying because I thought micro SD was an open standard. Like anyone could just manufacture them. And it's
Mm.
like, you're telling me there's an association and they can blackball you and suddenly all of your phones can no longer have this? That's a little bit scary.
Just well, it's. I mean, this whole and see, this is good. This sort of links back to what we said that there's a lot of things you can hit Donald Trump on. Him being cartoonish and saying mean things is not really one of them, guys. This is what you should hit Donald Trump on.
Yes.
Okay, between the bans, the trade wars, the tariffs, his very protectionist view of, and I think it's almost like he has this 1980s zero sum game
He
mindset when
does.
it
He
comes
does.
to economics and protectionism and all that. And it's that's not the world we live in anymore, guys. That's not the world we live in. And I know like the significantly more right wing people be like MAGA, MAGA, MAGA all the way and all that, and oh, but you know, trade deficits, guys. I'm not, so let me tell you this one more time, guys. I technically have a trade deficit with my local grocery store. It doesn't mean because they don't buy my software that I write that this is not an economically beneficial situation for me. Okay, you need to get off that all throughout Japan's sort of economic rise, and you know, and with the rise of JVC and all that 1980s, 1990s, they had both trade deficits and trade surpluses. It is almost not necessarily a good metric, guys, to how it works. And the tariffs are the worst part because if I could just distill this into one thing. Let's say you buy something from your store for $10, a widget from China for $10, okay? Then the taxes maybe amount to $1. So it actually it costs them $9 to bring in. They tack on the $1 to thing, and there you get your widget. When you put on a trade tariff, guys, what happens is, let's say there's now a 2% trade tariff, right? Or like a $2 trade tariff. What costs $10 now costs $12. And that $12 is not going to be absorbed by China or the store. They're going to make you, the consumer, now buy it for $12. China still gets their $9. The store still gets their cut. It's you who is paying that extra bit. Trade tariffs are taxes on your own people, and it is fucking dumb. And the fact that they now have to roll out these relief packages for farmers and
I was
all
about
that,
to say, yeah.
it's yeah.
It's
Go
it's
ahead.
like what's it the so this tariff war starts and then America's farming sector gets hit. So to solve the problem, they roll out $16 billion in aid to the farmers, which is like you could have just dropped the tariffs.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, the best fucking surgeon in the world. It stitches up your bullet wound. You know what's better? Not shooting yourself in the foot in the first place. That's even better.
And also, like for me, the best part is we're gonna give this aid to farmers, and the only way to sustain that is to raise taxes again, to keep paying for the aid packages for the deficits you create by implementing the tariffs, to screw over China, who's like, bring it. China is just like, bring it,
Okay.
motherfuckers. We're gonna win.
Let's see how we punch ourselves in the face. Huh? We're really showing you now, China. Like, what? No, literally anybody with any economic sense right now is like, what? What?
So it's like, yeah, I mean, like, if you want to hit Trump on something, this is a very good one. That,
This is
plus, like, this whole banning Huawei thing, it's like, this has been coming for years now. A couple of years ago, China announced that they're going to start essentially securing their borders in terms of cyberspace, and that could involve developing their own hardware, their own networks, maybe even their own protocols. Because right now the whole world runs on a set of standards effectively designed by the US. The government, the academia, all the contributors, most of the people that wrote all the basics of how the internet works are American. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely fucking nothing, except for the politics. And it's like China, the more America screws up, the more China goes, there's a good reason not to trust these Americans. And it's like eventually something was going to happen where either the internet would be firewalled or something would happen. And I think it's not happened. With this ban on Huawei, I don't know how the company survives because they've kind of said, yeah, we have all our own chips and we can write our own software. And it's like, okay, but no matter how good you are, you're never going to be as good as Google or Apple, who presently dominate the landscape. Again, two American companies running the OS on like every phone on the planet. So good luck. But then in the same month that this happened, it turns out that Russia greenlit a project. They want to build an emergency kill switch into their internet. I don't know if you saw this.
no. Yeah.
So there was look, America did a similar thing in the Obama era, and people, I have to tell you this. So the whole thing was, when cyber defense started becoming a concern, the US, I think it was Department of Defense, they created a cyber defense unit. And one of the things they were looking at was, in the event of a foreign nation attacking our internet infrastructure, can we develop a so-called kill switch to break our connections at the borders? And there was a comment on a YouTube video where someone sincerely asked, what happens if Obama accidentally bumps into the switch? I just had to stop for a minute and process this comment like it's a button on his desk.
Okay, but
Oh shit! Oh no! Internet's down.
just hold on to a second here. Was this like a troll comment?
No. From what I could tell, it was like a sincere, some mom in Arkansas or some shit. What if Obama bumps into the button? And I'm just like, guys.
I could just imagine it, like miraculously. Michelle, accidental press button. What do I do now?
But it's just like those old cartoons where it's like during the Cold War, it's like you got the president with this big button on his desk, nuke Russia. That's not how it works, guys. There's phone calls, a chain of command, all sorts of sign-offs before anything happens. So anyway,
It's not like whoops type thing. Like,
yeah, it's very much not like Saturday morning cartoons. So anyway, Russia's not doing the same thing, and their project would let them kind of bring the internet down. And people are freaking out about it. And it's like, oh, it's a freedom of speech thing because that's what they always say. But the thing is that between Russia, the US, and China, there's now all these sort of political firewalls going up, and eventually it's going to impact on the internet. And I'm calling it now. By the time we get to the 2050 scenario, I don't know if you'll be able to browse internationally as freely as you do now. I do think we're within like 20 years of there being an internet passport, and you have to apply to access other networks, because the way governments are starting to treat the internet, I'm pretty sure we're ending up in that place.
And I can see that happening, and I really, from a political, like, regardless of my own political leanings, like from a tech perspective, I think you'd be hard pressed to find people who would disagree when you say such a situation is the antithesis of what the internet was ever meant to be.
Yep.
Like it's
No, it is. And so the thing is, there used to be that limitation back in the dial-up ages, when to get international calls, you couldn't just pick up and phone a number. You actually had to arrange it and all the rest to get an international breakout. But we went past that, and the way politics is going, we might go back to it. So it's one of those things that keeps me up at night, because in the event of a war, the internet is the first thing that'll be cut off. So anyway, there's a cheerful thought to end your week with. We are now living in the golden age of the internet with all its bullshit and all the people who are dumb as fuck, and also the anti-vaxxers, which I don't even want to get into right now.
But they're naturally selecting themselves out. I do have one.
They're selecting. The problem is they're selecting other people out of the gene pool as well. But carry on.
Yeah, I do have one slightly happy and sad last thing to discuss real quick.
Do it.
And it's about Florida, man.
Oh yes, tell us about Florida Man.
It's two Florida men, okay?
Okay.
The one is kind of sad. It's a video of a guy in Florida, a Florida man, got pulled over and arrested by a cop for his truck because his truck says it has a sticker on it that said "I eat ass" on it.
Nothing wrong with that sticker.
Ain't nothing wrong, son. Somebody's thing said it's a danger because of all the pink eye he probably has. But in all seriousness, like there's I've seen the video. The cop calls it in. The guy's not belligerent or resisting in any way or form. I'll have to link it somehow to Instagram video. And he basically says, "But I'm not doing anything wrong." And the cop says, "No, no, no." Then he calls his senior manager and he's like, "Well, all right, arrest him. It's vulgar writing, and that's illegal in the state of Florida." And the cop says, "I'd like you to take one of the letters off, so that it's not so vulgar. No, probably like take the A off of ass." I'm like, "I'm sorry, policeman. I'm sorry, state of Florida. Have you heard of a document called the United States Constitution? Benjamin, get thy musket. It's time to start stacking bodies. Good God. I'm going to bring back Coolidge and Washington. We're gonna get our fucking muskets. Benjamin, we're gonna start stacking bodies. Good enough."
So the thing is, if anything in the world, this is the issue Pornhub should chime in on.
Yeah. That's what Pornhub should chime, because it is such a blatant violation of. It was like, what? He's doing nothing other than just have. And I get it. You don't want your kids to see that writing. Tough. How about you parent your kids in the reality of the world? Because there are going to be people who walk around with that stuff on it and say it in person. So while I know, think of the children, pearl clutching conservatism,
Are there any pearls left? I mean, with the amount of pearl clutching going on, I'm pretty sure they've soaked up the world's supply of pearls at this point.
I think the only pearl clutching or pearl necklaces around are on Pornhub, if you know what I mean. And the other, so that's a clear violation of Constitution. But hey, it's just the Constitution. It's just the Constitution.
The fuck is that with these cops? Anyway, yes. So
the other slightly better one is Florida man. I don't know if he was arrested or just banned. Takes a bath in the kitchen sink of a Wendy's. I shit you not, I have to find that video as well. But it's just a dude, like he's just bathing. Firstly, Wendy's, why are your kitchen sinks so huge?
My exact first question.
He's not a particularly like dwarfish dude. He's average build, slim, slenderish, average height type dude, and he's just taking a bath. in the fucking kitchen sink of a Wendy's. Firstly, Wendy's, why are your kitchen sinks so big? Secondly, Wendy's, what the fuck? It's Florida, man. Fucking Florida.
Florida really is America's theme park. Like the whole.
Like I've
God
reached a
damn.
point where like when I see a headline that says Florida man or Florida woman, I'm so excited to see how it ends. Like I love it.
You see, and it's like that's almost fine. Like these Florida men and Florida women are doing all of us a great service by being actually absurd in public, so that the media doesn't have to invent shit to get upset about or laugh at. Just give Florida a chance to
Let
produce
Florida-
these crazies. Something's wrong in Florida, man. Are we sure it's not like some kind of Alex Jones Infowars experiment where they're putting something in the water?
Dude, I swear, chemtrails. I don't like the put fluoride in the water. Turn fucking frogs gay. It's chemtrails, man. They're chemtrailing Florida, and it's
Here's
making everyone.
I think they are. So here's a scary thought to end off today's show. Alex Jones and Infowars, despite being objectively batshit, has been the most consistent voice in the media for the last 20 years. The CNN has not.
Well,
Fox,
Alex Jones,
nobody.
the same guy who what is it? I think it was Beto O'Rourke. He had a video of himself shouting at a literal piece of shit in the street,
Yes.
calling it Beto O'Rourke.
But the thing is,
Shouting at it.
that is peak
That's
Alex
right.
Jones, because that's exactly what he's done for the last, as long as I can remember. So it's like, he is more consistent than the mainstream press. That's where we are, guys. If you want a measuring stick for where we are in our civilization at this point, the loonies are more solid than the mainstream. That's where we are.
It's just wow.
I'll leave you with that pleasant thought on this Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, that is literally all from me for this week.
Cheers, guys.
See you again next week.